Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my March TBR. So March is a very exciting month. It is my birthday month and it is also a month of a lot of fun readathons, so I'm very excited to share with you my TBR. The first readathon I'm going to be participating in is actually a month-long readathon, and that is Tis the Damn Readathon, the Taylor Swift themed readathon that I have never participated in, and I'm so excited to do so. I will leave the pages for the readathons down below with all of the hosts. I'm super excited. I know that Jan is hosting this year for one of the first times, which is very exciting. The way the readathon is worked out is they've made a graphic of like a house with 9 different rooms, one for each album that Taylor Swift has created, and there's going to be 3 prompts that you can choose from for each album, and you just want to collect the rooms basically. I'm going to try and do 1 for each album, so 9 books, and that's going to be my total TBR for the month. I fit every other challenge or book club pick into one of these picks, so I'm very excited about that. That's quite doable for me. The other 2 readathons I'm going to be participating in are Draconathon. There's going to be a mini round from the 13th to 20th of March, as well as the Gear Up for Orillium, the mini readathon for the Magical Readathon, also happening from the 14th to the 20th. So a few different readathons. I'm very excited. So let's just get right into it. The first 3 books I'm going to talk about aren't included in the Orillium or the Draconathon prompts. They are just going to be counting for the Taylor Swift readathon as well as just regular books. The first book that I'm going to be reading for March is one that I actually started the first 50 pages in February and just haven't finished it yet, and that is The Wedding Party by Jasmine Guillory. I'm fulfilling for the prompt for Speak Now, which is to read a book that is either the 3rd book in a trilogy, or 3rd book in a series, or a book from a trilogy. I'm going to be reading this as the 3rd book in the wedding date series, I guess you could say. I skipped from the wedding date straight to this one because I don't have the 2nd book, but they're all they're technically standalones, but they all fit in the same universe. This one follows 2 main characters that you got to see in the wedding date, Maddie and Theo. They are both best friends of Alexis, the main character from the wedding date. The 2 of them hate each other, always have, but they end up finding themselves suddenly attracted to each other in the lead up to Alexis's wedding. So it's kind of like an enemies to lovers situation, and I'm very excited to continue it. I like Jasmine Guillory's writing. They're not my favorite romances, but they are really fun, and I really needed a kind of light boost from the heavy reads that I read during February, so I'm excited to get to this. Next up is a book that I'm very, very excited for, and that is Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This is a reread for me. I read this for my master's degree, and I absolutely adored it. It is part memoir, part nonfiction about Indigenous knowledge and treatment of the land, and I'm obsessed with it. I absolutely adore it. We're reading it for our book club, actually, my virtual book club, which I'm very pumped for my birthday month. We get to read one of my favorite books. I'm going to be trying to listen to the audiobook so that I can fulfill my audiobook requirement that I like to do every month. Super excited about that. This is also going to be my nonfiction pick for the month, and it is going to fulfill the challenge for the Taylor Swift self-titled album of reading a book that is a memoir, because Taylor Swift is the self-titled album, memoir, self-titled, kind of goes together. I'm super excited about this. It's one of my favorite nonfictions I've ever read, so I can't wait to get to it again, and I know the audiobook is phenomenal, and I can't wait to make my way through this slowly over the course of the month. Next up, I don't have a copy of this book yet, but I'm going to be getting it this weekend, and that is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. This is a new release. It is a mystery thriller novel following our main character, who ends up having to she's kind of down on the outs, and she ends up staying with her brother in his apartment, and one day he doesn't come home and she gets wrapped up in this kind of mystery. That's all I really know about it. It is actually the Literally Dead book club pick, which is a book club hosted by Kayla over at Books and Lala. And it also fulfills the buzzword prompt for the month, which is another read-along hosted by Kayla at Books and Lala. The March prompt is to read a book with locations in the title, and so this one, The Paris Apartment, has Paris in the title, and therefore it worked. For the Taylor Swift readathon, it's going to be fulfilling the Evermore prompt, which is to read a book that is a mystery or thriller. I'm really excited. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year, so I am very excited to see if I'm going to enjoy it more than the guest list, because I didn't really love the guest list, but I'm hearing so many good things about this that I have to give it a go. The next 5 books I'm going to be talking about are all going to be prompts for Draconathon and Magical Readathon alongside Taylor Swift Readathon. And the first of those is going to be 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This is a YA fantasy that I've heard absolutely fantastic things about. This follows our main character who, after her botched engagement, basically, she's being sent to an arranged marriage that she does not want to be a part of and ends up ruining the occasion. Her stepmother ends up actually cursing her brothers and turning them into cranes, and the main character has to fight against her stepmother to save her siblings, alongside a magical dragon and the man that she was originally supposed to be engaged to. I'm very excited. I've heard fantastic things about this, and I'm really pumped to read it very soon. For Draconathon, I'll put a little picture of it up in the bottom corner. It is a bingo board, and for this one, I'm going to be fulfilling the prompt of reading a book with magic in it. For the Taylor Swift readathon, it's going to be fulfilling the fearless prompt, which is to read a young adult novel. And then for the magical readathon, Orillium Gear Up readathon, the point of the readathon is to read at least 2 books. One to get your conduit, that is your magical object, basically, that your character is going to be using throughout the entirety of the readathon. And then you have to fulfill your legacy prompt, which is dependent on whichever order you were sorted into. I still need to fulfill my character sheet because I didn't do that during the novice path. And so I am going to be creating my character, which is from Carador. They are an elf, and they are a wildling. So there are 3 prompts for each of those. This one's going to be fulfilling my location prompt for my character sheet, which is for Carador, which is the prompt is to read a book in an ongoing series. So I'm excited for this. It's going to be a really good time. Next up is another book that I don't actually have yet, and that is Nimona. This is a graphic novel that I've been wanting to read for a very long time. It follows a young girl who has to pair up with an unlikely group of people in order to go on this big adventure. I really don't know much about it. What I do know, however, is that it features a morally gray character. So this one is going to be fulfilling the prompt for 1989, which is to read a book with a morally gray main character. It does include dragons, so it is going to be fulfilling my short book prompt for Draconathon. And then the cover also has a wolf on it, which I've chosen to be my familiar for my character sheet. Or no, for my conduit, for the Orillium Magical Readathon Gear Up. So I'm going to be fulfilling it for that prompt. And then finally, it is a graphic novel, which is one of my personal goals that I like to read every single month. So this one's a big one, and I'm excited to read it. Sorry, I realized the last one, it was fulfilling my legacy prompt, not my conduit prompt. Next up, I'm going to be reading The Flames of Albion by Jean Menzies. This is the fantastic self-published debut novel from Jean over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts. I'm so excited to finally be reading this. I cannot wait. Obviously it's a dragon book, so for Draconathon, it's going to be fulfilling the prompt of reading a book with pink on the cover. For the Taylor Swift readathon, it's going to be fulfilling the prompt for Lover, which is a 5-star prediction because I know I'm going to love this. It's queer, it's fantasy, and it's going to be fantastic. It's got dragons, and it's written by one of my favorite booktubers, so I cannot wait. And finally, for Magical Readathon, it's going to be fulfilling my prompt for my conduit, which I've chosen a staff, which is to read a book in an ongoing series. So this one I know is going to have at least a sequel. Super excited to get to this. Those last 3 books are going to fulfill one of the bingo options for Draconathon, and that's as much as I'm going to be doing for that week because again I have to try and read those 5 books in 1 week. So that's going to be it for Draconathon. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid. This one is an incredible adult fantasy that is inspired by Hungarian myth and folklore. I'm very excited about it. It is an adult fantasy, it is a debut, and I've heard fantastic things about it. This is going to be fulfilling my wildling prompt for my character sheet, and that prompt is to read a book majorly set in the forest or outside. This is obviously set in a wood, and it is predominantly set outside. Super excited about this. Apparently it's got a lot of political intrigue. The characters are fantastic, so I'm very excited to get to this one very soon. And then this is going to be fulfilling the folklore prompt for the Taylor Swift readathon, which is to read a book featuring folklore or folk tales. So 100% this is going to be a great ride. Next up is the last pick for Magical Readathon. This one is going to be Ariana by Jennifer Saint. This is a Greek mythological retelling. This follows our main character Ariana, who is the princess of Crete, and it is a retelling of Theseus and the Minotaur in the labyrinth. Her father was the king of Crete, and he was the one who put the Minotaur in the labyrinth and set Theseus to kill it. I'm super excited about this. I've heard from a lot of my good friends that really enjoy Greek myth retellings that this is really great. I got it for Christmas from my book club, Secret Santa, and I'm very excited to get to it very soon. It's not as big as I thought it was going to be. It looks kind of short. It's less than 300 pages. But I have been staring at it on my bookcase since Christmas, so I need to give it a go. This is going to fulfill my final prompt for my character sheet for Magical Readathon, and it is for my elf prompt, which is to read a book featuring moon or stars in the title or on the cover, and it's got the sun and a bunch of different stars all along the background of this cover. So again, I'm very excited to get to this one. It's gonna be a really good time. Finally, the last book is going to fulfill the reputation prompt for my Taylor Swift readathon, and it's a chonker. I'm going to be reading House of Sky and Breath, the second book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I'm also probably going to reread Crescent City. I haven't decided yet. I originally was going to, but now I'm not so sure. It's going to depend on how much time I have left, basically. I'm leaving this to be my last read for the rest of the month of March after the 20th is over and those 2 readathons are done, so giving myself lots of time with this one. This one is going to fulfill the prompt, like I said, for reputation, which is to read a book with romance, but in another genre. This one is obviously romance within a fantasy series. So again, very excited. I can't really talk about the plot because it's a sequel, a very anticipated sequel, and I'm super excited to get into it. It's going to be a really good time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up because it really does support my channel, and let me know down in the comments below if you're participating in any of the readathons I mentioned or if you're reading any of the books that I mentioned. Let me know your thoughts or what you're most excited to read during the month of March. If you're new here, please subscribe. I put out new bookish and writing videos every week, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye-bye.